like concealment, it's a so that's why they didn't need to put an additional chimney. The whole rock itself, as it was going this way, and to avoid that persecutors can discover their location, they didn't have a chimney, so they let the smoke comes out from the whole thing. So why stable? Because of not knowing how much time they are going to spend here, and it's difficult to keep the quality of food continuously good, so it's in a short while to lose its quality. The best was taking the animals alive, and whenever they need, they slaughter and eat the animal. So that was the easiest way. And I bet at that time period they didn't have any vegan or vegetarians.
They had dried fruit
So the other thing was water conservation. If they couldn't discover water supply down there, they brought their water with them. So that's why the major parts of the underground cities.
The Vietnamese used.
Yeah.
That was pretty claustrophobic.
Yes.
From those ventilation shafts. And most probably they covered the top of them with some dirt or some branches would not be found easily. So you are also going to see cages like, or the piled stones right inside the back corner. So these are to make us not to lose our way. The size of it is huge. We are going to just follow the visiting group. So we are now, we will see like a sample from each and every different function. We are now in this table. So how we are knowledgeable about it is just following the clues in our hand. On the walls you can see the many holes carved in a little cave. All right, and also some of them close to the ground. So which means the ones close to the ground are for the water for the animal, and these were for the food for the animal. This is the thing here. See? This is where they tied the animals. On all of them, we have some cracked ones, or some still full, like this one. You see? These are the places where they tied the animal. And of course, as you know, animals, to be able to continue to live, they need daylight to arrange their body timing. And here we don't have any daylight. They created an artificial one.
So are you going on, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm just shining a light so people don't fall.
What could it be?
I think it's just deep down. Because they probably put the house here for the bad guys, the bad on the roads, when the bad guys would come in and just.
Is the green sort of backside?
Yes, both sides. The apartment which was in probably in the kitchen. That was part of the way that's the
But of course, they could have gone down with the stairs, so we haven't.
So what? Two small rooms, which used to be the places where they used to live. So you will see on the ground, especially at the corners, and those rooms, common rooms, some big holes, like 3-4 cubic meter space. So this is where they used to put their belongings, like their closets, like their wardrobes. All right? As we cannot fit in those rooms as a whole room, so we will pass 1, 2 rooms, and the third one, this is where we enter again, which will be a wine room. Please, while walking, mind your heads as well.
for sure. You
No problem for us. You just walk right through.
Yes, I can take any pictures.
It's okay, Sid. You know it, Sid.
Just be the last one. You get stuck on the bush.
That's the name we're gonna keep.
So walk like a duck.
Yeah, that's enough for me. So this is the underground city. You just saw stuff inside there. You see a couple of the shafts here. Stone carved in there. There's a couple channels in there that really require too much snooping for me. Somebody will get a good picture of it and tell us what's going on, but it's a beautiful countryside. Now they went down in these tunnels because one of the Roman emperors was pissed off that there were Christians teaching, I guess, about Christianity, and sent soldiers up here to find them. This wasn't the only city. There were a number of these cities that were developed around here, and they would hide in these caves while the Romans came. Nobody could find them. And the population increased such that they moved up to Europe and spread Christianity throughout the world. So it really is a great site. Wish I could get down there, but the holes are a little too small for me. And here's some of the caves. You can see how thick that is. But this area, yes, there was a fellow up here trying to build a house, and it collapsed underneath him when he went to dig some foundation stuff. And they said, let's figure out what's going on here. And they found a whole city, a big city. You saw the model of it in there. This was around the 4th century to the 7th century that people lived in these places. Pretty incredible that they could carve these things up, and they made, like you see there, a little space for a bed. They had they brought their animals down there and fed them. They had troughs for the animals. Nobody's really quite sure what they did for waste. They think they could have put it in pots, and when the hiding was over, then brought it up and disposed of it. And as far as the dirt from this, I don't know how they would have. They say they spread it throughout the fields, which would have been a smart idea. Otherwise you'd see a bunch of fresh dirt or different colored type dirt in other areas. So this is a mixture of dirt and stone, but it held up for centuries, and I didn't discover this area or these underground cities until 1971. This is a much better view than going through a tunnel underground. You get a real good chance to see some of this. And some of the caves, the areas that we're in were this size. They were large enough that you can put several people and walk through it. But you see the channel to go through there. Those are large channels. There were a couple that were pretty small. The first channel going into the first chamber was I was bent in half trying to get into it. I didn't do well with the sciatica. So these, as we saw in the first tunnel or cave that we were in, were more than likely areas that they watered their animals, the different heights of those, and they tied them up and apparently kept torches in certain of the columns. The holes in the walls over here were probably up to a shaft somewhere, or they stored something else in those. But in the shaft going down, I understand. Now you hear the talking from there. Those are the echoes coming out from those chambers that they had they'd cordoned off with rebar. But you hear those folks in there. So, and we even got a GoPro went limp all of a sudden. So we're standing on top of that. It went down even further, and this probably was another shaft area that they could get down and around. Even if the soldiers, Roman soldiers, found them here, it was a they channeled these guys in places that it was one-on-one fighting, and they could roll stones in the various caves or tunnels to block areas. I would have thought that the Romans would have gotten in there. They could have found other avenues, food storage and other. I'm sure they had a lantern up in there of some sort. It is quite amazing how certain things happen, and there's a sub-level below us. This was the size of the tunnel in order to get into the rest of it. You can see some people have been through there, and that's not the easiest thing for an old man to get into. This may have been one of the shafts. I don't see the footprints coming down, so it might just be a hole that was dug and or it's caved in since then. And there's a city built around this now. These would be great root cellars, I bet. Some other opened areas there. And my bride's calling me, so hold on one second. And so here's some more of the exposed area, but there's several layers down. I don't know exactly how many, but they went pretty deep. Very, very smart. And those are some of the sizes of the spaces that you walk through when you're underneath there. You can see them in the light here a lot better, so you have to imagine what it feels like when you're underground. And some more stuff over there, but it's all pretty much the same. Underground city that the Christians survived in for 3 centuries. They weren't in them all day long, I'm sure. Well, they were all day long for several months at a time while the Romans were looking for them, but after that came back up, led normal lives until somebody told on them again, and Romans came back after them. Had to be a pretty frightening experience.